Alright, and hello there, and welcome to this little guide video, I guess. This is something I've wanted to try out, and this is for my favorite character in League of Legends, and I might make more of these for different champions. So, yeah, to the video. So, in order to really get into the spirit of Kench, you gotta know a little bit about his lore. So, basically, my man Kench is a demon, a pretty high-ranking demon on the list, and he patrols the waterways of Runeterra looking for people he can strike deals with, though in the end he's always going to be the one who comes out on top. Be- because every deal he makes with them, he takes one more part of their victim until they have nothing left to give, and then that's when he eats them whole, which is what you'll be doing a lot in game. And before I get to the guide, there's a couple things I need to mention real quick. Also, one thing you should know while playing Kench is that nobody picks Kench in all my time playing League of Legends. I've only ever seen one person play Kench besides myself, even when he was on free rotation, like I think a couple months ago or something. So, definitely a very niche champion, and his pick rate is extremely low. And also, there's a planned mini rework coming out in the future for Kench. So, I'll probably make an update video after this one when that releases. And yeah, I'm excited for it. And I'm just putting this out there. All the information will pop ups if the abilities are from the League of Legends wiki. So yeah, I have Kench's passive, which is an acquired taste. This is a 3-hit passive that, when fully stacked, it gives his Q and his W more crowd control effects. And the other part of his passive is that 4% of your max health is added on to your melee attacks as magic damage. So the idea is to build tanky and just to stall in combat, and then use the CC you get to just keep them stunned as long as you can. Alright, now it's time for his Q. So Kench's Q is a line skill shot that comes out really fast and has quite a lot of range for especially being a melee character. And this skill shot does a lot of damage, and it applies a slow. And if they have 3 stacks of acquired taste, it gives them a nice stun. And another neat thing you can do with his Q is that if you are trying to lick a minion or a monster, if you press W, you are able to put them in your mouth while your tongue is going out. Then his W has a couple different effects. So one of them, it allows you to swallow a ally champion to make them untargetable, so they can't take any damage from new effects. But if they have ignite or like a bleed or some damage over time proc, they will still take it and they can die in your stomach. But if they're being targeted by Karthus or Caitlyn and they don't take the damage. But besides putting allies in your mouth, you can also put your enemies in, such as enemy champions once you have 3 stacks of your acquired taste on them, which will put them in your mouth and will keep them out of the fight for a couple seconds. And when they're in your mouth, you only have 5% of your movement speed, which is not good, so be careful when you use this. But you can also swallow enemy minions and all monsters, except for Drake, Rift Herald, and Baron, obviously, because they're way too big. And then you can reuse the ability to spit them out in a direction and deal some AoE AP damage. Alright, now Kench's E is his most simple ability, besides having a couple percentages tossed in there. So a percentage of the damage he loses becomes gray health. Activating the ability turns all the gray health into a temporary shield that only lasts a couple seconds before disappearing. And if you get out of combat and don't take damage, once you gain gray health, it will then a percentage of the gray health will be regenerated. So a good strat to do is to get Spirit Visage so that you can heal more back than you took at higher levels, which is a really good way to stay in lane. Alright, then now moving on to his ultimate, it allows you to teleport anywhere on the map as long as it's within range of your ult. At the first level, it's really bad range, and it's nowhere you could get in just like 6 seconds of running. so it's only very situational, just for ganks or getting past a bunch of walls if they're in your way. And the cooldown on it is moderate. It's like around 2 minutes at like first rank, and then towards second and third it goes around like 100 to 90. And the second rank is huge because then you can move like a third of the map, and that's really good. And then once at max rank, you can move like anywhere on the map you want. You can go from mid lane to like top lane, and you have like, I think it's 8,500 units to teleport with a teammate, which is insanely good late game. If you need to get towers, you can just escape your lane and go somewhere else in like a matter of seconds. And the priority you want to max the skills in is Q, E, then W. This is because every time you upgrade Q, it obviously, as mentioned earlier, it gives you a bigger slow. Each rank of the skill gives you like 10% bigger of a slow. And so at max, it's like 70%, which is huge. And it keeps reducing the cooldown. So you can practically infinitely slow people once you get a little bit of CDR, only like 10%. And then you always, with the Q, you always have them slowed. And you can get W. The problem with W is that upgrading it doesn't reduce the cooldown, and it only slightly increases the damage. And at that point, when it's going to matter, it's not going to be enough damage. And that's why you get E second, because that helps with a lot of HP regen, and it's a way better skill to have than W. Alright, then there's the rune pages for him. There's a lot of variety you can do with Kench. My favorite is just going with the classic Resolve, because Grasp of the Undying gives you a lot more magic damage, which basically just copies your passive, so you can do a lot of damage in combat. And since it comes back every 4 seconds, you're able to stall the combat a lot, so you can keep getting it back and healing yourself, which is really strong. And it keeps increasing your max health, which is also really strong. Though Aftershock is also really good. If you're ever going support Kench, then that's actually a pretty good idea, because you can only stun one of the two people at bot lane. So while you're bullying one person, the other person bot lane is gonna be attacking you. So that's a good idea to run Aftershock. But other than that, you mostly just want runes that let you catch up to people easily. Like no matter what, I take approach velocity and the inspiration rune for free boots, because you get boots for free, which is really good. And you get plus 10 additional movement speed. And Kench already has a pretty solid amount of movement speed, which makes it easy to catch up. Though, besides just using Resolve, Hail of Blades is really good if you're going top lane, which is a bit of a joke, but you can catch people off guard, and you open combat on them. I like their minion, apply a stack of an acquired taste, but for some reason they removed it on everything, so now it's only your auto attacks, so you just have to suck it up and deal with it. So now with Kidnapper Kench, you auto attack him 3 times, and then you put him in your mouth, and you go really fast, because Phase Rush gives you slow resistance, which allows you to negate most of the slow you would get from the W. So you can go like just about your average movement speed with a champion in your mouth, and you can run them back to your tower and spit them out. And it's a really fun build to try out. Now moving on to Kench's items. First of all, there's only 2 lanes you're going to play as Kench, because you're Kench. So you should either play support, which you would take Relic Shield, or you're going to play top lane, which you would take Doran Shield, and start off these games with health pots as well, because they're good for early game sustain. And then for boots, do Swiftness boots if you're doing Kidnapper Kench, because it gives additional slow resistance, which lets you run away with the enemy really fast, and that's a great old time. And then Merc Treads for magic resist and tenacity, and then Ninja Tabby for armor if you're getting bullied by the ADC. And then always take Warmogs on Kench, no matter what the situation is. It was literally an item born for Kench, because you're meant to be a hulking mass of HP, and Warmogs gives the most HP in the game in one item, and its passive rewards you for having over 3,000 HP, which is very easy to do on Kench. and then you get a huge regeneration passive as long as you're out of combat. So that's really strong to keep you at max health between every team fight. So that's good late game. And then if you plan to actually fight someone or get a little AP, Nasher's Tooth is good for the attack speed, and 20% cooldown reduction is pretty strong. And if you're going Kench top and you want to try Rod of Ages, that's up to you. Wouldn't recommend it though. And just for general tank items to give you nice HP or for team fights, Gargoyle Stone Plate, obviously. Because if you're getting ganked by a bunch of people, that lets you just stand in their face and ignore them. And Frozen Mouth's good for stalling for time. When people are trying to run away with you, you can just keep slowing them as long as you need to. Titanic Hydra is good because it basically copies your passive. Instead of magic damage, it's physical damage. And then just for armor and magic resistance, do whatever is necessary. Like if they have 3 people with AP and 2 people with AD, then build accordingly. And if like their ADC is like Jin or someone who crits a lot, then obviously take Ruden's Omen, because that just completely lets you ignore the enemy, and that's really strong. And always take Dead Man's Plate for armor, because it's a really good item, because it lets you catch up to people really easily and instantly apply the free stacks, because when you first auto attack someone, they're slowed, so they can't get away from you. And then Magic Resist, Wits End for attack speed. Always take Spirit Visage because it makes the Warmog heal quicker. And if you combine it with your E, if once you max out your E, you can nearly heal for all the damage you take, as long as you don't pop the shield. And that way, your gray health will pretty much always come back. And that's really good. And most of the time, you don't really want to build magic resistance because they don't give as much HP as the armor items. And yeah, that's items for Kench. Alright, but in order to win as Kench, you must know these 3 sacred war cries. Number 3 is Unload the Toad. Number 2 is It's Time to Uncalm the Tahm. And number 1, obviously, is that it's time to unbench the Kench. Though to be serious now, somewhat. I put a this took a lot of my time and effort, and this was pretty fun to make. So make sure to like and subscribe if you want more stuff like this. And yeah, have a good one.